I think Stellar just sent a message. What do I mean by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice? First of all, we do know that Stellar recently had a partnership with Zebec, right? However, they made a post recently saying how first day of spring equals good things are in bloom for the Stellar ecosystem. But they continue on this post, but they don't mention anything about Zebec. But I think that deep down, they probably care a lot. Let me explain why I think that deep down they care a lot. Because when they continue on this post, they have like this response or whatever, talking about Spico finance. They talk about something called the COCA wallet. I mean, come on, bro. This is like unimportant stuff, in my opinion. What is the biggest thing that they've accomplished so far in terms of a partnership lately? Of course, it's Zebec, in my opinion. So, again, if they're going to make a post like this and mention a lot of random things that I've never heard of, doesn't really make sense. But I think maybe they're saving the best for last, right? Because I think sometimes, deep down, it is probably a message towards Zebec. Because let's face it, again, how do those partnerships basically are viewed as in a better regard when compared to the Zebec partnership? There's like no way, in my opinion. I just think the Zebec partnership was way better. I think it made a bigger impact. Furthermore, I think it just makes sense. Stellar, it's focused on global trade and finance. So is Zebec. They both have aspects of ISO 20022. Furthermore, Zebec has backers like Circle, which is the creator of USDC, and also on top of that, it has a backer like Solana Ventures. So again, are they going to say that, a partnership with Spico or COCA wallet, whatever that is, are they going to say that, that's a better partnership than Zebec? I mean, come on. No, I don't think so, personally for me. But again, the way I take a look at it is when they say first day of spring equals good things are in bloom for the Stellar ecosystem, even though they haven't mentioned Zebec directly in this post, I actually do believe it probably is, I guess, aimed at Zebec, right? In a good way, because I think this right here showcases that they're in a good mood, probably because of the Zebec partnership. And why not? I think it's a big deal, actually, at the end of the day. So, yeah, this message right here, it was kind of vague, right? There was a lot of ambiguity when it comes to this, but I just felt like at the end of the day, again, it probably is indirectly somewhat talking about Zebec, which I really do believe that. I mean, come on, right? How can you be excited about like those other partnerships? I think Zebec was just the biggest one. And I think this is actually a net positive when it comes to Zebec because let's keep in mind, ever since this partnership, a lot more people that I know are fans of Stellar now they're taking a look at Zebec. It doesn't mean they believe in it, but I've seen a lot of my friends out there start looking at Zebec because of this Stellar partnership. I try telling them about Zebec, but they don't really care, right? But once they see Stellar have a partnership with Zebec, now they're beginning to care a little bit because now it gives them more, I guess, of this awareness in that sense, where a project that they're a fan of actually had a partnership with Zebec. Keep in mind, right? When it comes to, let's say, something like Zebec and having this partnership, this just brings more eyeballs, I think, to Zebec. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think at the end of the day, this is a net positive for Zebec moving forward because let's keep in mind, XLM is the 19th biggest project in this world as of right now in terms of market cap within this space, right? So we have to take into consideration ZBCN is nowhere near that. This right here is not a bad thing, I think, when it comes to Zebec. And keep in mind, when Stellar made this post saying first day of spring equals good things are in bloom for the Stellar ecosystem, a lot of people were commenting about Zebec, why don't they mention Zebec and all this? This right here is such good marketing. I think when it comes to Zebec, having that partnership with Stellar really just adds more to its notoriety, in my opinion. So yes, ZBCN may still be down by quite a lot, still below 300 million in terms of market cap, still, not really going on a rally of its own, still not back at around a 500 million market cap. Totally aware of that. But we have to consider the strides they're making, right? The fundamentals arguably improving. I don't think it's a bad thing at the end of the day. When people like to tell me that, oh, Stellar, they don't really care about Zebec. Well, if they don't care about it, why would they have a partnership with it in the first place, right? I mean, sure, I haven't seen Stellar, like, I guess, directly mention Zebec, at least from what I can see so far. But at the end of the day, I do find it to be, regardless, a good thing when it comes to Zebec, and I think also a positive thing as well when it comes to Stellar. Why not, right? I mean, if we think about the nature of that partnership, we have to consider the implications that that could have when it comes to something like Stellar. Because if we take a look at it, for instance, in regard to Stellar selecting Zebec as its global stablecoin payroll infrastructure provider for the Stellar ecosystem, but we have to consider what is something that Stellar is really focused on, right? Stellar is really focused on stablecoins as well, in my opinion. Because, for instance, if we take a look at a post back in November, which I get it seems like a long time ago, but back in November of 2025, did you know that the US bank was testing custom stablecoin issuance on the Stellar network, right? So now if we loop that in basically to this recent partnership that I saw when it comes to Zebec and as well as Stellar, in a sense where again, Stellar did select Zebec as its global stablecoin payroll infrastructure provider for the Stellar ecosystem, doesn't that showcase that even still despite all the things that Stellar was doing regarding stablecoins, and yet now they even focus on Zebec? So that's pretty impressive at the end of the day, in my opinion. I think it showcases the progression when it comes to Zebec, and I think it showcases that Zebec isn't a quote-unquote joke or random project that no one really cares about. If something like Stellar cares about it, that's sometimes game, set, match, in my opinion. It's game over, in a good way, right? Not in a, like, it's done type of way, but in a good way, in my opinion, because now, what's the missing key? It's probably that Ripple partnership, in my opinion. Now, I would like to actually throw something in there as well, as an option. Why not have a partnership with XDC? Complete the trilogy. What do I mean by this? Literally, what are three famous projects within the global trade and finance space that we have as of right now, historically, right? Stellar, of course, is one of them, Ripple, and as well as XDC. But if let's say they get Ripple in terms of a partnership, I feel like why not get XDC as well? It literally completes the trilogy, right at that point. I would like to see that. If they could actually pull that off, now, the Ripple partnership, that would be the best thing ever, probably, but if they could actually pull off the XDC partnership as well, I mean, come on. That's like a trilogy right there. Absolutely fantastic if they could pull that off. And I would actually like them to do that because that would really, I think, solidify when it comes to Zebec in just a totally different stratosphere when compared to Onyx. Don't get me wrong, I really like Onyx. It's the closest competitor when it comes to Zebec as of right now, but if it could have that Ripple partnership and as well as that XDC partnership, I mean, come on, right? How can Onyx really compete anymore in terms of fundamentals? They'd really have to step up their game at that point. They would really have to do that, right? So I would like to see this, but this is all just speculation on my part when it comes to the XDC partnership, but I would like to see that. So in case of the Zebec team or Simon, the CEO of Zebec's watching this, please have a partnership with XDC as well, if you could actually also pull off the Ripple partnership, because that really just completes the trilogy. It's like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Why not do that, right? But yeah, we'll wait and see, ultimately. So when it comes to ZBCN as of right now, I'm not concerned, actually. If I take a look at it, if the market cap just goes back to 500 million, we're 2 times lower than that. And we just saw around 500 million last year. So at the end of the day, I have no complaints, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to ZBCN, if there are any. And again, so far, I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to Zebec, and seeing that message that Stellar recently posted. I think maybe indirectly it was a direct message regarding Zebec, even though they didn't really mention it, but I think deep down it probably is, because come on, right? I think it probably is the biggest partnership they've had as of late. However, again, I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.